What does it look like when a man who has spent his entire life building a legacy decides, in a single moment, that he will not let it be disrespected? What does it sound like when the polite applause of a talk show studio is shattered by the sound of a man's dignity hitting the floor, as he stands up and walks away from a narrative he refuses to be a part of? Stay with me, because this is not a story about a celebrity feud. This is a masterclass in boundaries. This is a lesson in what happens when you finally decide that your self-worth is not up for discussion. The title of this video is, Stallone Shuts Down Jimmy Kimmel Walks Out Mid-Interview. Now, before we cross into this reality, I need you to understand the stage, the talk show. It's a modern-day gladiatorial arena, but the battle is subtle. It's a battle of perception. The host holds the power of the narrative. The guest is there to play a part. The charming promoter, the humble star, the funny anecdotes teller. There's a script, an unspoken agreement. You be famous, I'll be likable, and we'll all have a nice time. But what happens when the host breaks that agreement? What happens when the gentle ribbing turns into a targeted strike at the very core of who you are? For Sylvester Stallone, on this particular night, the answer was simple. He stood up. The segment began like any other. Stallone, a living legend, a man who carved his own face, his own name, into the Mount Rushmore of American cinema with nothing but sheer force of will, walked out to applause. He smiled. He shook Jimmy Kimmel's hand. The opening questions were soft. About his new project. About family. About the longevity of his career. But then, the tone shifted. Kimmel, known for his snarky, sometimes biting humor, began to delve into territory that was less about celebration and more about dissection. It started with a joke about Stallone's age, a cheap shot about action stars needing longer naps between takes. Stallone's smile tightened, but he played along. A gentleman. Then, Kimmel pivoted to Rocky. He didn't talk about the triumph, the Oscar-winning underdog story that inspired millions. Instead, he focused on the critics. He brought up old, scathing reviews. He read a line from a 1976 critique that called Stallone's performance monosyllabic and lumbering. The audience chuckled nervously. It was uncomfortable. Kimmel pressed on, asking, "When you hear that, do you ever think, maybe they had a point?" This was the crossing. This was the moment the interview stopped being an interview and became an interrogation of a man's life work. Stallone looked at Kimmel. The cameras caught the exact moment the light in his eyes changed. The pleasant, promotional glaze evaporated, replaced by a cold, clear focus. The same focus Rocky had when he saw Apollo Creed across the ring. The same focus John Rambo had when he decided he was done being pushed around. He didn't shout. He didn't fire back with a witty retort. He simply leaned into the microphone and said, in a voice so quiet the audience had to lean in to hear, "Jimmy, you're talking about a film that I wrote in 3 days. A film that was rejected by every studio in town. A film that I refused to sell unless I played the lead. That ain't monosyllabic performance, see a broken bar. It was my heart on the screen. It was my life. And you're using it as a punchline for your monologue." The studio was silent. Kimmel, flustered, tried to recover. "Oh, come on, Sly. It's all in good fun. Don't you have a sense of humor about yourself?" And that was the final straw. The ultimate dismissal. It's just a joke. The invalidation of a person's deepest feelings. Stallone slowly removed his lapel microphone. He placed it gently on the chair. He stood up. He looked Kimmel directly in the eye and said, "Some things aren't fun. Some things are sacred. This conversation is over." And he walked off. The camera stayed on an empty chair. The sound of the studio door closing echoed through the dead air. It was one of the most powerful, uncomfortable, and raw moments ever broadcast on television. So, what is the reality we are crossing into today? It is the reality of the unacceptable. It is the moment you decide that your dignity is non-negotiable. For decades, Stallone played the game. He showed up. He smiled. He answered the same questions about Rocky Balboa and John Rambo 1,000 times. He tolerated the jokes about his mumbling, his age, his action hero persona. He understood the game. But on that night, Jimmy Kimmel didn't just make a joke. He attacked the origin story. He mocked the struggle. He tried to take the crown of thorns that Stallone wore as a young, hungry, desperate artist and present it as a clown's hat. And Stallone said, "Number." He didn't argue. He didn't try to explain himself on their terms. He didn't beg for validation. He simply removed himself from the situation. He voted with his feet. In your life, you will find yourself in your own version of that talk show chair. It might be at a family dinner, where a relative makes a joke about your career choices that cuts to the bone. It might be in a business meeting, where a colleague dismisses an idea you poured your soul into. It might be in a relationship, where your partner constantly belittles your dreams under the guise of just being honest. Your instinct, trained by politeness, will be to smile, to nod, to laugh it off, to be a good sport, to keep the peace. But every time you do that, you are placing the comfort of others above the sanctity of your own soul. You are allowing someone else to write the narrative of your life, and they are writing it as a comedy, when you know it is an epic. Stallone's walkout was not an act of anger. It was an act of profound self-respect. It was a declaration. My story is not your punchline. My struggle is not your entertainment. My heart is not a topic for your debate. You have the same right. You have the right to stand up, to remove your metaphorical microphone, and to walk away from any conversation, any relationship, any situation that demands you sacrifice your dignity for the sake of someone else's amusement or comfort. Walking away is not losing an argument. It is winning back your self-respect. It is the ultimate power move. You are declaring that the game itself is beneath you. You are too valuable to be a participant in your own humiliation. The world will try to tell you that you're being too sensitive, that you can't take a joke, that you're rocking the boat. Let them. The people who say that are the ones who benefit from you staying silent. They are the ones who are comfortable in the boat while you are doing all the rowing. Stallone walking off that set was a shockwave because it was so rare. It was a moment of pure, unfiltered authenticity in a world of canned laughter and scripted banter. It was a reminder that beneath the celebrity, beneath the character, there is a human being with a line that cannot be crossed. You must define your own line. What is sacred to you? Is it your creative work, your family, your health, your peace of mind? Draw that line in the sand of your soul, and when someone crosses it, you don't need to have a dramatic showdown. You can simply do what Stallone did. Be calm, be clear, and be gone. Your time, your energy, and your spirit are the most valuable currencies you possess. Do not invest them in people or situations that devalue them. Walking away is not quitting. It is choosing a better battlefield. It is choosing to fight for your own peace instead of against someone else's disrespect. The image of that empty chair on Jimmy Kimmel Live is more powerful than any argument Stallone could have won. It is a silent monument to self-respect. Let that image be a lesson to you. You are never trapped. You can always stand up. You can always walk out. You can always choose to stop playing a game that was designed to make you lose. This is Crossing Realities. If the story of unwavering self-respect resonated with you, if you've ever felt stuck in a chair you needed to get out of, I need you to do one thing for me. Type the word respect in the comments below. Let's build a community that knows the value of walking away. And if you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. We cross into new realities here every week, and we'd love for you to join us on this journey. Remember, your reality is what you choose to defend. Choose to defend your dignity. Choose to walk away from anything that threatens it. I'll see you in the